Alrighty y'all, this is World Class Jerk, and in this one I plan to go to Glacio and pretty much just do Glacio things, which essentially means Bytes, but of course a starter base on Glacio, or not really a starter base, just a base on Glacio. And the reason that's important is because doing anything on other planets is easier when you just make a base and make what you need on that planet instead of bringing what you need. So I'm just going to whip up a small shuttle here, and one of these, and this thing, because it looks cool. Alright, so once you have these three, you do want to focus on getting other things that you may need for a starter base once you get there. Namely the oxygenator, because that's probably the most important, but you can take the one from your base if you don't feel like making one. Personally, I'm going to make one because that's more efficient, but also, you don't want to take everything you need for a starter base. You want to just take things that you need to make a starter base. Basically, the goal here is to get to the soil centrifuge as fast as possible on Glacio, so you can use that to expand the base further. So again, if you don't want your whole Glacio experience to be actual suck, then there are a few things you're going to want to take, and I'm not going to get into the details yet, but these are the resources you're going to need for them, ignoring the fact that you will need organic for your small generator, but you can pretty much always assume that there's going to be enough to get you to where you need where that's concerned, so you can ignore that until you get there. Also, you don't need a beacon, but it's preferred because it's so much easier to find your way back in some cases with it. Alright, I mean, there's better places I could have landed, but the first order of business when you land is obviously to get a small... Well, I'll do the beacon first since it's already down there. But you want a small printer, of course, because that's where everything else comes from. As stated before, with a small shuttle, it's extremely annoying to take exactly what you need for a base, so you can just take what you need to craft it. And for a host starter base, the entire point, as stated before, is to get the soil centrifuge. The reason that's the case is because the soil centrifuge allows you to further expand the base, which basically means it's self-sustainable, which is exactly what you want, because going back and forth between planets is extremely inconvenient. Alright, so by using 2 compound and gathering organic from nearby, you should be able to quickly achieve this small formation here. So from here, you basically just continue to expand the base. First thing you want to get is obviously a platform. Or a printer, then a platform, because you do need a platform to use the medium printer, whereas the small one can just be placed on the ground. So this is literally it. This is technically a starter base by my definition of it because it is now self-sustainable. That's exactly all it takes, is just a soil centrifuge. That's the main thing. Now there are some things you don't have to take. You can obviously get organic or resin and compound nearby pretty easily probably in most cases, but I prefer to take it all because as you can see, if you do it right, it just happens real quick. You just throw it up, no problem at all. But if you do decide to leave some things and gather something else here, for one, I just don't recommend that. It's harder. It's so much easier to just get what you need on the home planet because it's faster, and why would you take longer when there's no sense in it? But if you do, you need to remember to bring the aluminum because that's not going to be very easy to get here. You'll just have to turn back and go back, and that's just the worst. But yes, now that this is technically a starter base, I don't really want to expand on it yet because I don't have bytes. That's why I'm here. Bytes are the most important thing in the game at this very point, so I'm going to have to get those first. Well, I'm not going to have to, but that's really the best choice because expanding the base is kind of pointless if I don't have a whole lot I can do with it. The way I'm going to go about this is obviously doing the probably pretty popular by now strategy of just gathering the rocks, I guess they're called, that are in the caves. Those bytes are pretty good and they respawn, and it's easier than getting a research chamber up and opening all these, whatever those are, those containers. It's just a lot faster to do it by going down there at first. And until you can get expanding, until you get large rover and stuff, it really is the most convenient way. So just making up some compound, of course, 8. I'm going to make 8 stacks of tethers because that's awesome. It'll get you far. And usually that'll be about enough to sort of impress you, but maybe you'll want a second, like 8 stacks of tethers again. because that might be really what you want, like, because you may want to go further with it is what I'm trying to say, in a very poor fashion, as it turns out. But yes, 8 should get you pretty far. It may be enough for you depending on how fast you want to progress the game. I usually tend to progress faster because while I'm here, it just seems more convenient to do such a thing. But if you're a more casual player, 8 stacks should be plenty for what you're trying to do, because they respawn, as I said before. You can literally just come back and do this again later. But I like to do things fast, so I may end up doing 2 things of 8. It really just depends on the results, because I'm not entirely familiar with the results. I just know that they're good. Easy, kid. Now, if you just came here for the Bytes gathering bit, then that's pretty much all you need to see. Just remember, compound. That's it. It really is all about getting compound, because all you need is tethers to get Bytes. A whole lot of tethers. I think I ended up using 19, even though I said 16, because I found 2 extra, and I had an extra compound, I believe, and I don't really know where that came from. But as you can see, the yield is insane. I mean, that's 30k Bytes. You can do a whole lot with 30k Bytes, and the fact that I'm doing this on an episode 2, which is equivalent to like 3 or 4 hours of gameplay, is actually pretty efficient. That being said, I have nothing really left to add. That's about it. You just gotta get compound. It's much easier than any other method for starting off, because all you gotta do is just kind of go there. You just gotta be on Glacio to do this. And as long as you dig down, they're just there waiting for you. All you have to do is hold F. It's extremely convenient. Honestly overpowered. They do need to nerf it, but until then, I'm going to abuse the crap out of it. Also, if you can get one of these systems here set up on there, it's really good until you get an RTG, because RTGs are obviously also broken. They should probably entirely do away with those. As much as I love RTGs, it kind of makes everything else futile. But anyways, yes, until you get RTGs, the medium generator is incredible, and all you got to do is just go into the starter planet caves and find one. Anyways, that's basically it. I don't really have anything else left to add, because it's all about getting compound, and that's a very simple premise. And if you like this one, be sure to watch the next one as well.